China wants to accelerate free trade talks with South Korea, as China is willing to strengthen high-level exchanges with South Korea.
Hey, welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus, ISM
So 1 minute now
Services.
until we get the market on open
My
imbalance
name
and the
is Lee
US cash
Goldstein,
equity
your
open.
trading director is 10-minute trades. Please remember, I'm not a financial advisor. All the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. Okay, let me know that you can hear me, please. Okay, we are streaming on YouTube, so trying something different on YouTube. Anyway, you can hear me. I assume everyone can see the charts. Let me pull up the DMM.
10 seconds.
Hey KT, I didn't forget about you. Okay, there is
So we're looking
news
now to the market on open imbalance. The
coming out.
S&P
No, you know
500
what?
a buy
I'm
side of
losing my mind. The markets
240
are
million,
opening. That's what's
Nasdaq
going on.
100 a buy side of
Okay, the
40
markets
million,
are opening
Dow
right now.
30 a buy side of
They should
55 million,
calm
Mag
down
7
by the
stocks a
time we
buy side
get
of
to
10
our
million.
event. Don't forget, well, most of you might not even know this, at 9:45, there's a report called Final Services. Remember we said during the ISM report, manufacturing, that there was a report final manufacturing at 9:45. It's the same thing with ISM services. There will be a report. It's on the calendars, and we do not trade it. They will move the market a little bit, but I explained it with ISM manufacturing. We've tried for years to find a stable setup, just have not found that setup for those particular events. It's not that you can't try trading them at 9:45. We just did not have a really successful way of trading them on a regular basis. So let's take a look at the DMM for ISM services.
Alphabet shares fall 8.2% at the open. That's the most since October of 2023, following their disappointing earnings report last night.
Today is Wednesday, right? So we do have an oil report today. So we'll stay in the room. We won't be streaming that, but we'll stay in the room for the oil report. So ISM services, last month we had added an MNQ trade that
Fed Sparkin says there are jobs
if you
out
get
there
a
that
good
had been
breakout for
devalued,
all,
that have been revalued
that
up
is
because
a,
of
a
scarcity.
low risk way to trade this report. It's an alternative. Right now, the gold breakout has been working quite well on this report. So that's what we're going to stick with. I'm trading the gold breakout. Let's take a look at January. Now, the irony of January is you almost
At the
can't
open,
count it
Apple shares fall
because
1.2% as
January
China is considering
traded
a
with
probe into the
jolts.
company's policies and app store
Okay?
fees.
So you heard me talk about jolts for half an hour the other day, yesterday, Tuesday. And jolts moves the market, but we don't have a way to trade jolts. It hasn't been a reliable trade. It's been a difficult trade. But it does affect that ISM trade. And you could see it in January's results because there was a giant move. It was a big breakout for all. Now, I do attribute some of that to the JOLTS report. ISM can give you a nice breakout, but it's usually not nearly that size. Okay, it was over 100 ticks. You could see it was a very nice move. It did pull back, okay? Pulled back pretty fast. All right, you saw that, right? That was the MNQ on the left, gold on the right. And the MNQ, look at it moved early, it looks like to me. Watch. Right, it was maybe a second. Breakout for all. Okay, notice bonds broke out, gold broke out, MNQ broke out. That's when I say breakout for all, that's what I mean by
So
a
in 10 minutes
breakout
time
for all.
now
It
at
means that
9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, we see
almost
the release of
all
the US
instruments
S&P Services
would have
PMI
worked as a
January
breakout.
final. Forecast
Let's take a
52.9
look at a
on the
little
prior
bit more
52.8
normal
with a range of
ISM in
55.5 to
December.
52.8 expected. The composite PMI final forecast 52.5 on the prior 52.4.
All right, so this was December. Gold on the right, MNQ on the left. Now gold pulled back, and you could see I had a data feed issue with our prop account. It didn't give a proper fill. If you noticed, the orders were orange, which tells me there's a data feed not working the way it should work. Sometimes that'll happen on fast-moving markets. The MNQ had another very decent move on this report. It looks like a nice alternative setup. And it is a breakout. Okay, so I'll go over both setups. I want to look at one more. Look at November, one more month. Gold on the left this time, MNQ on the right. Gold hit the first target. Stop went to safety and miraculously stayed in the trade. That was a miracle. Miracle in the sense that it got really close. That's why sometimes you don't want to move your stop when your first target gets hit, but there's no perfect rule. It's just the type of trade management that you prefer. The MNQ was trickier in November. Let's watch it. No, actually, it was fine. That looked pretty good. That looked pretty good. It just pulled back. The MNQ pulls back much more quickly than gold does. Okay? So two setups that you can use. I almost like the MNQ better for the past 3 months. It's been trading very nicely. Um, Gold, we're definitely debating whether our whether our bracket is big. Because if you notice the moves, 38, 47, a 20 bracket is eating a lot of profit. So this is the last month. We're going to probably use a smaller bracket unless this has a better move, more ticks. Okay, so keep in mind that bracket is a little on the large size right now. The gold breakout, GC
So in
425 is
five
the
minutes time
correct
now at
contract.
9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, we see the release of the US S&P Services PMI January final. Forecast 52.9 on the
JOBB
prior
version 11, it's a
52.8 with a
breakout.
range of
We're triggering the
55.5 to 52.8 expected.
959.59.
Composite PMI final forecast 52.5 on the prior 52.4.
There's a part of me that wants to use a 15 tick bracket. 20. Targets, position is a size 1 is a 1, position size 2 is a 1, and we have targets anywhere between 10 and 30. I would not be greedy on the targets right now. I'm going to go 10 and 20, 21, somewhere in there. A little bit less greedy on the targets. Stop is a 20. And then target one stop move, break even -5. I want to keep it out of the way if possible. All right. And then I'm going to label the trade, of course, GC BRK. Right now it's on sim, which is fine. I'm going to apply it and OK it. I'm going to put my chart on sim. I'm going to put the time of my software on 0 for a moment. Apply it and OK it. When you enable a 0 trade, what happens? You get your brackets early. It's just
Order
for
submitted.
management, okay? I just want the width to be able to
Order
manage the
canceled.
trade. That's all I'm looking to do. And then I'll put my time back.
Order submitted.
You can see the market is very manageable right at the
Order
moment.
canceled.
We are going to get that report in a couple of minutes. Putting the time back to 9:59:59, and then I'm putting my account on. Apply it and OK it, and then I'm putting my chart trader on the right account. If you're on the wrong account, you will not see your orders, okay? You won't see them. Now, what we want to do is see this trade, this move take place, final services, okay? Final services. Let's watch and then we'll set up the MNQ in a minute because it's only a minute away. We have 15 minutes to get set up, so don't panic. On the MNQ, if you don't want to watch and you want to set up, it's a brat. No, you know what, everybody, this 15 minutes, don't panic. NQ's down a bit today. Gold still bullish.
Fed's Barkin says lower labour supply from immigration is not good
1
for
minute
firms.
until that second report. Does everybody understand how to set the trade up and
1
put
minute
your
remaining now.
orders in?
I'll be leading with the US
Everybody
S&P
good?
Services PMI
We're
final.
absolutely, nobody asks any questions, hardly at all. You're allowed to ask anything. Ask me any questions if you need help. Okay? Don't be shy about asking questions. I never yelled at anyone, I don't think. Maybe once. Okay, Frank, that's okay.
10 seconds.
So here's this 9:45 event.
Singapore said
Watching
China is
gold
to
in
import more
particular on the
agricultural
left.
products from Kyrgyzstan. 52.9, 52.9 as expected.
52.9.
Composite PMI
It's not that
52.7,
big of an offset.
52.7, higher than
Okay,
forecast
not that big of an
52.5.
offset. You could see the NQ had a better move than gold on it. The NQ popped up a little bit on that news. Now gold is responding to it. Maybe we'll start trying to trade these 945s. Okay? They seem, well, this one had it, that was a tradable move. I could have had a setup for that. Not saying it would have been easy. Look how fast gold reversed, right? Gold reversed pretty quick on that. Let's set up our MNQ. The market will calm down now for this report. Let me just check one thing. All right, I want to make sure we have our news out there properly. Okay, so the MNQ breakout. MNQ 325, right click strategies, double click JOBB version 11. It's a breakout trade. It's a 10 o'clock event, so we're going to trigger at 9:59:59. Okay, and we have a bracket of 40 ticks. Position 1 is a 1, position 2 is a 1. That's up to you. If you want to trade extra positions, you're welcome. Profit target 1 is 21. Profit target 2, 49. It could be, 15 and 50. Somewhere in there, it should be fine. Stop is 150. Okay, with the MNQ, if it chops around, you want to be able to stay in the trade and try to manage it. And then it does really reverse. Tends to reverse. I'd like to protect. I'll do a break even minus 10. I just want to move the stop a little bit. If it hits the first target, I don't want to take a full loss, right? And then we'll do the same thing. We'll call it NQ BRK. Right now it's on sim. We'll apply it and okay it when we enable it, right? And the market's a little bit busy right now because of the news. Put the time on 0. If you want to look at your bracket management, keeping in mind the market's a little busy right now. Should calm down as we get
Order
closer.
submitted.
That still should be a manageable bracket, okay?
Order canceled.
Put the time back to 9:59:59. Bracket is 40. right? Position 1's a 1, position 2 is a 1. Targets between 15 and 50. All right. The stop is 150. 50 cents a tick, right? On the MNQ. 50 cents a tick. Triggering at 9:59:59. And then you can choose an account to trade it in, right? It's hard to manage two breakouts. It's hard to manage two trades in general. Gold really looks like it wants to. It never, I don't believe it ever tested the high. Remember, it started before ADP where it looked like it wanted to test the high and then it went down on the news. So I'm going to trade the gold trade this morning and I'll just watch the MNQ only because it can be
It's been
tough
10
to
minutes
trade
time
two
now at the
breakouts
top
at
of the
once,
hour. We see the
especially
release of
when
the
one of
US
the stops
ISM
is big
services
and it may
PMI for
need
January.
management.
Forecast 54 on the prior 54
So I'm going
spot
to
1
just leave it
with a
where
range
it
of
is.
56 spot 5 to 52. Services prices paid. Forecast 65 spot 1 on the prior 64 spot
Okay,
4.
everybody
New
clear
orders a prior read
on the
of
two
54 spot
setups?
2 and employment a prior read of 51 spot 4.
Markets are, the markets have been pre-election. We really started to see a lot of volatility in the markets, and it really has remained and probably gotten more volatile, if anything. The markets are volatile. Now, sometimes you see extra movement because our charts are spread so we can manage the bracket, right? Sometimes that might create what appears to look like extra volatility when really it isn't. It's just a wider chart. Let's look at an ISM going back a little bit. Let's look at September. Gold on the left, bonds on the right. Not a great move initially from either, but you could see gold pushed down and hit the first target, okay? Gold did push and hit the first target, and then bonds started to move a little bit late, but they did start to move. Bonds are another instrument that we have looked at on this report. Now I know that people are not able, a lot of people are not able to trade bonds. We do have, we made a little bond spike sheet just for education. There were a couple of whipsaws, not unusual, and 11 ticks in January. That was with jolts. And then only 6 ticks, 4 ticks. Back in the summer, bonds were moving much better for a couple of months. Somewhat inconsistent, I would say, on bonds. Some decent moves, some pretty small moves as well. Didn't look fantastic for a breakout. Not terrible at times. And then we made also an MNQ spike sheet. And you could see there was some pretty strong moves, 70 ticks, 90. That September one was small, 120. I mean, the October, September was 120, 275 in August. So you could really get some MNQ moves that are large. I'm just going to concentrate on gold this morning. And then, like I said, we'll stay in the room. I'll close the YouTube stream after the ISM trade, and we'll stick around for the oil report. So still a few minutes. So you could see that there was a response to news at 9:45. You see that candle there was the news response to that report. MNQ it bounced off the VWAP, which is always an interesting magnet, right? VWAP is a great magnet. Gold looks like it wants to
US
test the
Treasury 10-year
high.
yield hits the low since mid-December.
It still
Last down
looks like it
7.3
wants to
basis
test the
points
high.
at
It's pulled way
4.44%.
off where it was an hour ago. But see how the VWAP is always it's tested so many times during the day. You can be a VWAP magnet trader. The NQ setup is 959.59, bracket of 40. Stop is 150, MMQ now. Okay, would not use a 150 tick stop on the NQ. Targets anywhere between 15 and 50, I would say. Stop is 150, bracket is 40. Trigger time 9:59:59. Targets anywhere between 15 and 60 probably. Depending how much management you want to do. That's always the key. Target one stop move. I'm putting that at BE minus 10. Target two, the bigger you make it, can have an effect on your trade management. Because you're welcome, Juan. If it just gets hit, then the trade's over. But if your target's very big, then it may not get hit. And then you have to manage. And it's not a wrong or a right. There's a VWAP magnet right there again. Isn't that fascinating? All right, so there's only 2 minutes to go. My biggest concern on the gold breakout is the bracket eating too much profit. Okay? That's my concern on the breakout. If we get a test of the high from this news, then it should be a very good trade because that's nice and far away. Normally, if gold's going to go in that direction, I would expect the news to be negative. We did not see negative on that previous report. The reports are not necessarily related. Okay.
One minute remaining. I'll lead with the US ISM Services PMI.
All right, just watching carefully. Always making sure, look at the early movement on the MNQ. That's a little bit of movement there. Remember, we've seen some what appeared to be
10
early
seconds.
movement. MNQ is choppy.
Order submitted. Order filled.
52 spot 8, 52 spot
Oh,
8,
it
lower than
missed the
forecast
first
54.
target
Prices
by a
paid at 60
tick.
spot 4,
It
60 spot
missed the
4,
first
lower than
target by a
forecast 65
tick.
spot 1.
It
Employment at
should get
52
there.
spot
It
3.
should get there. It really
Order
should. There
filled.
it is.
That's employment at
And
52 spot
now
3.
I
And new
think we're
orders
going
at
to get the
51 spot
test of
3,
the high.
51 spot 3.
Moving my
Next to the
stop to
markets, weakness coming
safety,
through in the dollar here.
right?
Some whipsawing in the S&P
Moving my
500
stop
as
to
well. We're coming
safety.
into
I
some
will
strength now.
trail a little bit at the risk of getting stopped out to have a decent profit.
Order filled.
All right. Let's see. Let's see how smart I am or if it's going to pull back. It did not get to the high. I really thought it would. The news is just exactly what would help it get to the high. It's a bit negative. It's a bit negative. It didn't get there. Okay, it didn't get there. We had a decent little profit. Who traded the MNQ? Did anyone trade the MNQ? And how did it do for you, Juan? Very nice. Very nice. Sander, very nice. Juan, nice trade there too. MNQ is a good little setup for this trade. That's a pretty new setup. And that looks good. It looks good. Fred, you're definitely a micro guy. You've been trading micros longer than almost anyone I ever met. That's the truth. So that's good to see. If you can make, think about it, it's 50 cents a tick, folks. If you can make $40 on an MNQ trade at 50 cents a tick, you might want to consider adding more contracts on the next one. Turn off your breakouts, please. Turn off your breakouts. Now, this is a trade we could put a reverse continue. We should always put a reverse continue on every chart. I always say that. We really should do it. Really should do it. Let's look at the video because look, gold failed. And it's always nice. You can use your micros to do your reverse continues. It's a way that, number one, you won't give up all your profit, right? If you traded full size, for instance. So you can definitely use micros for reverse continues. It's really a great way to practice them also and get good at doing them, gain confidence, and then you could start doing larger contract sizes. I'm just looking to see what happened here, refreshing the news. The important numbers. Now, it does look to me like there was no forecast. Let's see what our other guys said. So it's interesting. They were missing forecasts today. So there was mixed news, really. If you see the results, or you can't tell because there's no forecast. It makes it tricky, little tricky to analyze that. Overall, I think the numbers, the manufacturing prices, I'd love to hear what Rick is saying. The market doesn't like it on the NQ. MNQ is dropping pretty quickly.
Treasury 7 to 30-year yield falls 10 basis points on the day.
but I like our setups. I still think our bracket is too big, and I think
It's the
we will
S&P
make a
500
note
seeing a move to the
and
downside here following the
go
data
to a
now. Initially saw a
15
whipsaw
bracket
reaction.
on gold. Give me a second. Sometimes if I don't make a note of stuff, so many things going on. I want to thank everybody that watched us on YouTube, everybody else in the room. Hang around. We're going to trade some oil. Thanks on YouTube. I'm going to shut the stream. Keep an eye on our schedule. We have one more stream for this week. I'm pretty sure it's the U.S. jobs report. So thank you, everybody on YouTube.